I'm 27 years old, and I had just moved into my first apartment. It was an old Stalinist-era building with high ceilings and massive windows. I felt completely happy there, at least until the first real autumn storm hit. It was a Friday night. I was cooking dinner while listening to a podcast through my headphones. Suddenly, I got that sticky sensation of feeling that someone was watching you. I took my headphones off, silence, only the rain drumming against the glass. My apartment was on the 4th floor, so it was impossible for anyone to look through the windows from the street. I walked into the living room and noticed that the curtain on one of the windows was slightly pulled back. I distinctly remembered closing it completely. I went over to fix it and happened to glance down at the balcony of the neighboring apartment, which was supposed to be vacant at the time. There was no one there. I went back to the kitchen, but my appetite was gone. As I sat down at the table, I heard a sound that made my blood run cold. A faint clink from the hallway. It sounded like someone had accidentally brushed against the keys sitting on the side table. I grabbed a knife and slowly walked into the hallway. The door was locked with every bolt. No one was there. But I noticed one detail. The rug by the door had been shifted slightly. On it was a faint, damp footprint. Someone had been inside while I was cooking and must have slipped out when I went into the living room. I locked myself in the bathroom and called the police. When they arrived, they found no signs of forced entry on the door. The windows were all locked from the inside. The officer was just about to leave, chalking it all up to my paranoia, when he suddenly noticed something on the ceiling. In my hallway, there was an old ventilation hatch covered by a small wooden door. It wasn't shut properly. When the officer climbed a ladder and opened it, he recoiled. There, in the narrow crawl space between the ceiling and the floor above, was a makeshift bed, a blanket, several empty water bottles, and a pack of crackers. But that wasn't the worst part. Lying there was my spare set of keys, which I thought I had lost during the move, and my personal diary. The neighbor from the floor below, whom everyone considered a quiet retiree, had access to the building's technical shafts. He had been watching me through the vents for months, learning my schedule, taken through gaps in the ceiling, along with audio recordings of my conversations. He wasn't just breaking into my apartment, he had been living above my head for weeks, waiting for the moment I'd be most vulnerable.